Hi there. My name is Gail, and I'm the creator of Heart Art, and now, following the pandemic, also Heart Art at Home. And Heart Art at Home is really about me providing you with online resources so that you can embark in creative explorations in the comfort and the safety of your own home. So I was recently struck by a quote that said, "You are being presented with two choices: evolve or repeat." These times are a great opportunity for us to really consider that quote, knowing that things are radically changing. Isn't now a perfect opportunity for us to consider our changes and how we want to be and to live in the world? So, in order to evolve, if that's the path that you choose, what do you need? How do you do that? What is required of you? For me, I think it's really much about activating a sense of self awareness, activating a sense of thoughtfulness, and definitely activating a sense of creative thinking. It's time to think about what makes me come awake, what makes me start to feel alive. There's a beautiful quote that I read that says, "When we can imagine something and make it real, that's creativity." When we can imagine something and make it real, that's creativity. So if I choose to evolve, if I choose to move forward on a different path, for me, it's very much about activating the creative energy within me, asking myself pertinent questions, and finding ways to start walking that path of evolution. So, thinking about creativity, I was naturally drawn to Elizabeth Gilbert's book, Big Magic. And so I've created a 6-part Heart Art at Home course, which is called Evolve. And it's based on the writings that you will find in this book, Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. And so what I've done is I've taken what Elizabeth Gilbert talks about as the essential ingredients for living a creative life, which are courage, enchantment, permission, persistence, trust, and then she also talks about divinity. I've taken these concepts and I've adapted them around creative processes where we can delve into um, guided visualizations, where we can take our thoughts and imagination and turn them into visuals so that we can see and we can feel these components of creative living. And we're also going to be doing a lot of reflective writing and journaling. So the questions that we're going to be asking is, what brings me delight? What enchants me? And how do I make the most of the situations in my life now, in order to be able to evolve into something more fulfilling for me? So, to end with, I would like to read you a little excerpt from this book. And if it triggers something in you, if it ignites something, if it makes you a little bit curious about things in your life, and how perhaps you're a bit kind of over all of the repeat patterns and you're ready to evolve into something bigger, something more adventurous, then please do join me for Evolve. And you'll find all the details on my website. But here we go, a little reading excerpt for you from Big Magic. Oh, let me just give you a little bit of context for this, what I'm about to read. So, a friend of Elizabeth Gilbert's, when she was in her teens, she used to do figure skating. And she absolutely loved it. But because she wasn't sort of championship material, she decided to, give it up and carry on with life, as you do when you kind of move out of your teens and move into adulthood. So that's kind of a little bit of context of what I'm about to share with you. For the next quarter of a century, my friend Susan did not skate. Why bother if you can't be the best? Then she turned 40. She was listless. She was restless. She felt drab and heavy. She did a little soul searching, the way one does on our big birthdays, and she asked herself when was the last time she had felt truly light, joyous, and creative in her own skin. To her shock, she realized that it had been decades since she felt that way. In fact, the last time she had experienced such feelings had been as a teenager, back when she was still figure skating. She was appalled to discover that she had denied herself this life-affirming pursuit for so long, and she was curious to see if she still loved it. So she followed her curiosity. She brought a pair of skates, found a rink, and hired a coach. She ignored the voice within her that told her that being self-indulgent and preposterous was such a crazy thing, and she tamped down her feelings of extreme self-consciousness at being the only middle-aged woman on the ice with all those tiny, feathery 9-year-old girls. She just did it. 3 mornings a week, Susan awoke before dawn, and in that groggy hour before her demanding day job began, she skated. As she skated and skated, and she loved it as much as ever. She loved it even more than ever, perhaps now, because as an adult she finally had the perspective to appreciate the value of her own joy. Skating made her feel alive and ageless. She stopped feeling like she was nothing more than a consumer, nothing more than the sum of her daily obligations and duties. She was making something of herself, making something with herself. It was a revolution, a literal revolution, as she spun to life again on that ice. Revolution upon revolution upon revolution. Please note that my friend did not quit her job, did not sell her home, did not sever all her relationships and move to Toronto to study 70 hours a week with an exciting Olympic-level skating coach. And no, the story does not end with her winning any championship medals. It doesn't have to. In fact, the story does not end at all, because Susan is still figure skating several mornings a week, simply because skating is still the best way for her to unfold a certain beauty and transcendence within her life that she cannot seem to access in any other manner. And she would like to spend as much time as possible in such a state of transcendence while she is still here on this earth. That's all. That's what I call creative living. And while the paths and outcomes of creative living will vary widely from person to person, I can guarantee you this. A creative life is an amplified life. It's a bigger life, a happier life, an expanded life, and a hell of a lot more interesting life. Living in this manner, continually and stubbornly bringing forth the jewels that are hidden within you, is a fine art in and of itself. Because creative living is where big magic will always abide. So, please join me for the course of evolution, where we explore these concepts of what enchants you, what delights you, and how do we put measures into place to live that bigger, fuller life and evolve.